Hi, my name's Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I wanted to remind you that tomorrow, August 4th, this catalog finally goes live. So I have some fun specials. I have some giveaways. I have free things with purchase and that go along with the catalog kickoff, as well as just because now it's August. How did that happen? Year's going so fast. But tomorrow, both on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time, I'll be live, aiming for between like 9:30 and 10 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. My daughter's going to be here to join me. I know y'all like when she joins me as much as I do, so she'll have a project or two as well, and then we'll get this catalog kicked off. Also, starting on August 4th, for those of you that shop with me in the US, our online stores are undergoing a makeover, and because of the nature of the beast, we can't see the online stores to work with them until they're live. So first thing in the morning, I'm going to do my live. I'm going to get my order placed for my Try It Club class, and then I'm going to start updating all of my links. So any links that you click on tomorrow will just take you to my homepage. They won't necessarily take you to the product. So if you have any things that over the past Christmas and July, or any of my catalog previews, or anything that you've just been waiting to place with your $5 bonus bucks that you got, then you'll want to have your catalog handy, or you'll need to do a search on the website. But the new website's going to be fabulous. But it'll take me a while to go back and update some of my links. And I'm only going to go back to like April, May of this year to when the annual catalog was new, because I don't have time to update a million zillion links. So unfortunately, it will just take you to the homepage, but you can live with it. As part of my live tomorrow, I'm going to do the other 2 cards in today's gift card set. So today I'm going to do the summer and the fall card. And if you catch me live tomorrow, we'll do the spring and the winter. That way you'll have a whole little gift set of things that you could give people. So you do want to catch that live tomorrow. Today's the last day that you can sign up for my Try It class. And it has to be in as long as I have the numbers in the morning, because I'm going to place my order bright and early so I can get all of the things to get going on that class. My Try It classes are my favorite classes that I offer. You'll get to try all of the new ribbon, you'll have a new embellishment. You'll get to see all of the new papers as you make 10 cards that feature the Designer Series paper. So be on my email list and you'll get that, as well as the other classes that I've posted for August. So let's get going on this card. I'm going to use the Stamparatus, and this is a real fun little set. It's inexpensive, it's photopolymer, there's no dies or anything that go with it, and it will make these really fun little gift cards. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and I'm going to do 2, because I wanted to show you that 2 cards can be done almost as quickly as 1 once you know what you're doing. In fact, if I had all 4 ready, I could do all 4, but I wanted to save 2 for tomorrow. So I'm working with the in colors, so all of the cards will be based on a new in color. So I have Just Jade and Bumblebee. And then I just have some shimmer white cardstock here, because shimmer white's my favorite. It's going to give a little bit of texture. So I have my Stamparatus. I'm not going to use the magnet. It's over here because I've got this cut to the size that I want. I put a little bit of seal, not the Seal Plus, just the regular seal right here in the middle. And I think this is about where I want it. This card's a little forgiving because you're just putting the tree on it. So before you close it or stick it down, just make sure that's about where you want it. So as long as the tree's hitting, then use the guides on this. This little styrofoam or foam thing you can get in the catalog. Then I'm going to show you a couple of different ink options, because today is the last day as well that I'm doing the free ink spots with your $50 purchase, because tomorrow it will change. So I'm just going to show you a couple of different inking options when you use your Stamparatus or your stamps. So this is a soft suede ink spot that I got obviously from a paper pumpkin, or at some point when we've offered them. I know we've had soft suede before in some of our little kits. So sometimes you can get them like that, or you can just get empty ones and then you can refill them. So I'm going to stamp my tree trunk in the soft suede, and then I would have inked an ink spot in the cinnamon, but I've done the free ink spot offer, and right now our refills, you can't get them because of COVID, and the people that make the ink refills also do medical supplies, or the bottles. So I'm going to show you how you can use a big one. So you can see it didn't stamp everywhere, but that's okay because I'm using the Stamparatus, and I just want a little bit of the cinnamon in there just to give it a little bit of color. And now I'm gonna make sure I press hard where I know it didn't hit, and then just kind of light everywhere else, just to give that little light color of cinnamon. And then if you feel like it needs more, you can go back, like right here, it needs a little bit more. So see if I just push right there. Now it's all nice and filled in, and it's kind of a two-tone. Right there too. So it's all pretty, and it gives it more of a look of real wood, since wood's not just one color. So make sure you get these lids back on the right spots. So now for this one, we're going to do our summer one. So I'm going to use, it comes with leaves, and the leaves can be summer or fall. And I have got spruce, granny apple, and just jade. So I'm going to ink the leaves first with just my granny apple, and it could have stood to be re-inked, because when you work with ink spots, they do dry up a little faster, because obviously there's not as much ink in there. But then I decided I kind of liked that light coating of, it just gives it a little bit of bright. So I'm going to do granny apple, and then we'll go just jade. And this one, I inked everywhere with the granny apple. And I'm just going to kind of hit this with the jade, just to give a little bit of colors of leaves. And then you can see these just kind of just line them up on here. And I'm going to stamp it till it stamps clean. So it just gives a little bit of depth. You can get about 3. The last one's pretty light. So let's do that again. So I have to press pretty hard with my granny apple, but if you freshly re-ink these, then there would be too much ink on it. I could have used my big pad, but I wanted to show you, these are all the little ones that I have filled, and then that's another one from a paper pumpkin. And then this is spruce, which is a nice, fun, bright summer color. And that one, again, I'm just barely hitting it. I'm gonna go up a little bit this time. So you just kind of make sure your leaves are not right on top of each other when you do this. And again, we can get about 3. And then I'll do one more time. And on this one, I'm gonna go back to the jade, because that's what color my cardstock is. So just get the lightest color on the base coat every time. And then cover up my spruce. It is a little bit, when you're working with these, my newer ones, I always take the stickers off of my stamp pad if I still have one. It might be in a different language. So see, barely touching that, and that lets both colors show through. And then just make sure you kind of get them. There we go. So it's super pretty and so very easy. It's a little bit therapeutic actually. So got that one. Have that ready to clean. And because I was going from light to dark, and stamping off, I didn't need to use my cleaner. So then for the summer one, I'm also going to add the birdhouse. So I'm going to take my little soft suede ink spot, because it's small enough that I can get it on the birdhouse, and just ink that up. Whoops. And then I am going to use a marker. You could use an ink, no, I won't. I'll use Mary Merlot. On my first card, I used Cherry Cobbler, because I didn't have a red over here. And now I have a red. So you just barely take the corner of your ink spot and get the 2 little birds. So just have 2 little red birds here. And you can see I'm barely touching it with the corner of that. I thought about putting this on the Stamparatus as well, because that way if you mess up, but because they're clear and because they're speckly and we have a lot going on in this card, I didn't feel like it really needed it. So then just add your birdhouse and your 2 little birds. So sweet. That one's not going to go on our other one. And then there's a little bit of ground, so your tree's not floating around. Oh. A lot of stuff on my table. So just take your little ground bit, and I'm going to do the same thing I'm going to do to one that's darker than the other. Just kind of flip them around so they don't look like the same thing. In fact, you could go all the way over if you chose to. And then there's one that says hello in the set. There's a couple of different sayings. I'm going to use a different one on the other card. Just doing this in the jade again, because that's the main color of my card. So as many times as I can use it a little bit more than the others, I'll do that. So now we have this. And then I just wanted to give it a fun little wood texture, but I didn't want it to be overtly wood, and I kind of wanted to use something new because then we have all this new stuff. So I'm going to take this plate off. Oh, and the other reason I chose the Stamparatus is because this is a big stamp. And so you either have to have the very largest ink pad or you can use your Stamparatus. So if you don't have either, then if I was going to choose, I would choose the Stamparatus. I did not clean this after I made my other cards. Let me get this off of here. So I'm going to put this down here. And I'm going to go back to the... Get all this off as much as I can. I'm going to go back to my cinnamon. And I'm just gonna, this is our new dry brush stamp. I'm just gonna kind of drag it across. I don't want a ton. This actually has a little bit of the Merlot on it from my last card. So we'll have a little bit of Merlot. But again, I don't want a ton of it. And I want it to be mostly around the edges. So I'm gonna take just this piece of scrap typing paper. And I'm gonna press on the typing paper right here where I know the tree is. And then when I take it out, then I've stamped off that that area. And again, I'm not going to press very hard the first time. And then kind of see what I want. So you can see I have a little bit there. I might want a little bit more over here. But with the Stamparatus, you can kind of control where you're getting that fun little wood grain texture. So that looks good. So now we have this, and you can see the places that I just chose not to hit on my Stamparatus. It's a little bit easier to do that with the background stamps when using the Stamparatus as opposed to flipping it and pressing it, because the pressing it, I know we like to do that, but it can be really strong where your fingers touch. So let's do our other card while we've got all this going. So let's put the tree back, the tree trunk. And I just think this would make a fun little gift set for a teacher, for somebody you haven't seen for a while. Just, you know, when we all make cards, it tends that we end up with a ton of them. But a lot of our friends who don't do this for a hobby, they're really appreciative to get a little set of gifts. So we can put that right in the middle. And I just have a tiny, tiny piece of seal there. Make sure my tree's in the right place. And then I'll press it down. And when I'm done, I can just wash all this off because it all just washes off of here. So this time I'm going to do opposite. I'm going to do my cinnamon cider first. And ink the tree with that. And this time I'm making sure it's a little bit darker because the autumn leaves are going to be a little bit darker, obviously. And now I'm going to take my soft suede, and there's some grains in this wood. And so I'm just going to lightly pull it. And then go back over the top. And that's going to help kind of give some definition to the little green part. And again, the fabulous thing is you're using your Stamparatus. So if anything gets too much of one color or you need to change it, you can stamp again. Just adding more ink. So it looks pretty good. I'm going to add just a touch more cinnamon on top of all that, just to give it a little bit of a brighter stem. And then I'll put pictures of both of them on my website. And if you missed the live, then you'll be able to go to my website. Although you can rewatch the lives on YouTube as well. But you can go over there and see the still pictures of the whole entire set. So you can see how nice and deep that is now. So let's do the leaves. I'm going to take my sponge, and since I'm going from greens to autumn colors, I'm just going to stamp it on my chamois real quick. My chamois are so filthy. But you know, who wants to buy chamois when there's so much fun stuff to buy? I'm going to make sure it's dry. Okay, and this time we're going to go again with an in color. So I'm going to start with Bumblebee. And that's going to act as the Granny Apple Green. The whole thing with that. And then let's do some Cajun Craze as our little, and you can see, and this time I'm not using the ink spots, so you just kind of have to control a little bit better. And they tend to have more ink in them than an ink spot. The ink spots, you can do a little bit more pressing and controlling where you want that because they're just not as inky. This one is not going to have the birdhouse, so I don't have to make sure I leave any room over there for it. And because the colors are darker than those greens, I'm going to be able to get one more hint out of it. So I'm going to go down here where the leaves might be falling onto the ground. and add those, but I just want wisps. So you can see, you barely see it. And then again, let's go with the bumblebee. And this time I'm going to do Mary Merlot. Autumn cards are always so fun to do because when you're doing the leaves, the color combinations you can come up with. Like I was really tempted to put pumpkin in here, and then I thought, no, just leave it this way. I'm going to go over here first because I haven't inked a first generation over here yet. And then here in the middle, and then up. And again, I'm going to flip it down here. I am going to get one of these down here that's the second, but I like the way that this fills in with the color, but not being so obvious that we have leaves down there. So again, and then you can kind of decide, do you want more Merlot, or do you want more of the Cajun Craze? I'm going to go Merlot because everybody likes a good red tree. So this time I'm going to get here. In the second generation, I'm going to take it down here. So those are just a little bit darker, but they're not horribly dark. And again, let's get the bumblebee. And then on this time, I'm kind of doing the rock and roll technique. The leaves are all so subjective, you don't have to be perfect. Let's get a full strength here. Let's do a second one here, and then a third one up there. So now that's all nice and filled in. And I mean, it's a little addicting, so you can keep going, which I shut the wrong pad. So let's do Cajun on this one. So I'm going to take the saying that says life is beautiful, and I'll use it on my Cajun Craze. I used it on the Merlot on my other card. And I want that to the E because you'll know that it says life. And I want to make sure the is beautiful is not on the tree trunk, so it's a little bit easier to see. And then let's do our background. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on the other one, except you already know because I didn't have it clean. I did use a little bit of Merlot on the edge. So stick this on here. Grab the cinnamon cider, which you could also use as the leaves, but I didn't want the background to look exactly the same. Pull this over. And then while I've got this open, I'm going to grab my little ground. That time I didn't even flip it over. This stamp set is a little bit like all of the little nature mountain ones that we've had. It's really forgiving and you can do a lot with it. So now I'm going to go back to my Merlot. And this time I want to make sure that I don't get Merlot in the middle of my tree. So I'm just going to take it and kind of drag it on the edges. So I want the whisper of the red, just like you would get in the fall when the leaves start to change. Again, I'm going to lay this on here and get that middle bit so there's nothing here. And then just plop that down. And then again, I'm just going to mostly press around the edges. And then have a look. That looks pretty good. Let me get a tiny bit more up here at the top. There we go. So now we have 2 cards. And you can see when I move to the winter and the spring version, how you could just keep going with the different colors. And there are snowflakes in there, then there's some other stamps, and I'm not going to use the leaves on either one of those, so you will want to see it. I'm trying to find some place to stick my Stamparatus. And then I have the die from the Hippo and Friends dies. Because if you're doing a gift set of these, you want them to be fun, but you don't want them to take forever. Because you want to be able to make them. So you can see this little part right here, and that has a little scoop. Those are what need to go top and bottom, so this is kind of matched up. So you look at it and not at the tree trunk, because the tree trunk is obviously not center on the card. Let's just take one pass through. If you are a demonstrator, you get to order your new die cut machine tomorrow. And if you are a customer, those will be coming out in September. And if you order it for me, then you'll get to do some of I'll have a series of online classes that you can take to help you get to know how to use it. And if you can't wait and you're not a demonstrator, then you can join my team and you can get it in your starter kit. So not only would you get to be part of our team, but you'd get your new cutting machine at a big discount. Let's pull this one through. So those are super easy. And then you're going to take your ribbon. So in this case, if you got some of my ribbon as my thank you gift in. Although I realized when I started to do these that I think I've given away all of the magenta and all of the midnight. So the cards tomorrow are going to have different colored ribbon. I really wanted to do this, but so many people ordered and I have been dyeing ribbon and letting ribbon dry in giant stacks. So I'm going to have to come up with something else unless I can find that I have a little bit of scrap of the blue and the magenta somewhere. So just pull out a section of this. This I dyed in the bumblebee. So all of y'all that got your packages a couple of weeks ago, you probably got the bumblebee and the moonlight. Everybody that got it more recently would have probably had bumblebee and jade. I'm going to take, you just need the frame part. And I want the longest bit on the left-hand side. And then just tie a little knot over here. And with the autumn one, it doesn't really matter where it goes because this ribbon, one of the things I love about it is that it's see-through. So just get it knotted here. You don't want to pull it too tight, but the ribbon can stretch. So just stretch it so your card's laying flat again. And then just tie a little bow. And then you'll have to kind of open them back out because the ribbon squishes on itself when you pull it. So if you've got a double loop, it will all turn into one until you pull it apart. Just pull that apart, and then let's get the jade, which I haven't even wound onto the thing yet. I have a few more thank you gifts to send out, and then I have the orders over the weekend, and then a couple more that will come in today, I'm sure, because I also have 2 of the mini trimmers left. I think 2. So if you place a $150 order with me, then you get a free mini trimmer. And you can go to my website to see some of, I've taken that down on a lot, so I guess you really have to be on my email list because I didn't know that Stampin' Up! Would sell out. And I didn't know that even though I ordered a ton, that it wasn't a ton enough. Let's do the same thing with the jade. So this is, if you're doing a set of cards, like if you're making Christmas cards, if you're making a little gift like this, where you're doing a lot of the same one, then do all the same steps. So I would have like cut out all of my big shot things. And then maybe have a stack of them and take them down to where you watch TV maybe. And then just do all the ribbons one night while you're watching TV. That way you can make, 6 or 7 sets of these and they can be really quick. So pull that. This one has the start of the ribbon tape on it. And the way I'm using these scissors, my other scissors are laying right there. So there's our 2 frames. I'm going to take the cardstock. And then if you place an order this week as part of my catalog kickoff, you'll want to go to my website because these are my gift with purchase for a certain amount. So if you go, you'll get the bone folder with your fun little tag and it will have some of the new papers on them. So that way when you go places with people, and you're stamping, you know which bone folder is yours. So they're just fun little things. My girlfriend makes them. So I've ordered a lot of bone folders and then we will wait for her to make all of the little charms and then I'll mail those out to you. So this is, I have a Christmas one. I have another one. All of mine have these on it because I do tend to take my stuff a lot of places. And so it's a great way for us to tell whose is whose. So now I'm going to just take these, and you're going to want to put your adhesive on the back of this, and seal's fine. You don't need the plus. So just center this. I know it's hard for you to see, but this shimmer cardstock has just enough shimmer that the card doesn't look flat, because I considered putting a piece of it through the embossing folders, because I tend to not make very many cards that I consider flat cards. But this really had enough going on that it didn't need it. Just stick those on there. And you're going to take some dimensionals. And I have the large ones, and I found it's easier to stick them on here. So you need about 3. Let's stick this one here. And then pull all those tops off. And then stick another one just right on top. That gives us a double dose of dimension. That way you can really tell that this part's popped up. Put those on there, and then just take some of your ribbon. You don't want all of it, especially on the green. You can do more of it on the other, because we don't want to cover our birdhouse. And just kind of slide this in here, and then make sure everything's lined up before you press down. Okay, that looks good. And then just press that down. So if you put too much of the ribbon here, that'll cover up your birdhouse. On the other one over here, I'm going to put more. It's all nice and fluffy again. The nice thing about this tool is that it fluffs, and if you send it in a card, it kind of smashes down, but then as it sits out, it kind of fluffs back up. So again, we'll come over here, do our 3 dimensionals, and then pull those off. Oops, and do a double layer. I did it the first time with a single layer, and you just, with the ribbon, you couldn't even really tell that it was popped up. This gives you a nice good pop-up for our little centerpiece here. So again, just slide this in here, and just try not to let it touch your dimensionals, but you have to push kind of hard on them before it's stuck. And then once you have it all lined up, just push those on there, and then you can kind of mess with this, because it's not really attached with anything but the, if it hit a dimensional in the back. So now we've got those, and then one more little touch. I have the in color enamel dots. I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to find my open packet before I went live, and I could not find it. So I'm just going to take the color of my cardstock. Let's put it here. And then do this one. This one I'm going to do here. So they're not on my first copies because I couldn't find them. Because I know I have an open packet, and I hated to open another one, but then I just got tired of looking. Have you all been there? If I hadn't had a spare pack, then I would have had to have found it. So you can see my other ones. Make a fun and a great little gift set, and you could stamp the envelopes to match. You could use our new envelope making set that's in the holiday catalog. So that's what I have for you today. If you want to see the other 2, then you can go watch the live video, which there will be a whole lot more than just this, because my daughter has stuff, I have stuff, and this is one of the sets I'll be featuring, but I'm going to do a bundle as well. So that's what I have for you today. Make sure you go to my website, see what this month's free gifts are, what the kickoff specials are, and everybody have a great day. Bye.